Okay, and who put together that sampling?
Sue Ettinger.
So it was her, she picked 12?
She picked, if that's 12 is the number, yes.
Okay. And you didn't listen to any beyond that 12 to write your report?
That is correct.
Okay. Do you know if the district is pressing charges against any of the individuals who left voicemails or sent emails that were concerning?
I'm not aware of anything like that.
And your report says security was increased at higher and the district offices. Can you tell me specifically what you mean by that?
We included police to be present in both locations.
Okay, and Mr. Schneider told us about the police presence at higher. Can you tell me the police presence at the district offices?
Can you rephrase your?
Yeah, sure. So I understood from prior testimony from Mr. Schneider that there was some additional police presence at higher, but he was not able to testify, and I didn't ask him, to be fair, what the additional police presence was at the district offices. And so I'm asking if you can explain that, please.
I began my day at higher, so I have that direct information with police at higher.
Okay, so you don't know what additional police presence was provided at the district offices?
Not the number, no.
Who would know that?
Dr. Siebert or Dr. Cook.
Other than increased police presence, do you mean anything else by increased security in this reference in your report?
No.
Okay, and you also state there was substantial disruption to the district. What specifically do you mean beyond the police presence?
The emails and voicemails that we received.
Anything else?
Not that I can think of right now.
And when you say, you assert in here, there's significant time and resources toward managing and responding to circumstances that Ms. Temple created, what specifically do you mean in terms of how much time and by whom?
I couldn't guess how much time. I was very involved. Dr. Siebert was very involved. Our subsequent assistants were Mr. Schneider.
Anything else that you can think of? I guess I'm asking specifically, what did you mean by significant time and resources?
We had to shift our time to focusing on this.
You and Dr. Siebert and Principal Schneider.
Yes, and our clerical support.
And how many people?
Maybe one per, so three
3 clerical.
additional.
Do you know if any classes were canceled as a result of Ms. Temple's actions?
No, not to my knowledge.
Were any schools closed?
Not to my knowledge.
Other than this investigation, have you ever conducted an investigation into a teacher or staff's personal off-duty social media use?
I believe so.
Are you aware of any other district employees posting about Rainbow Land or Ms. Temple?
Not to my knowledge.
Is it the administration's position that if Ms. Temple had followed the chain of command and then made her post about Rainbow Land, she would have been in compliance with page 7 of the handbook?
Objection calls for a hypothetical.
We'll sustain the objection. Rephrase.
Okay, can you, let's turn to the page 7 of the handbook. Actually, I'm sorry. Let's go to your report. So on page 4 of your report, you say Ms. Temple did not follow the chain of command to express her concerns over the district's decision to not include Rainbow Land in the first grade concert. Instead, she repeatedly posted her opinion on the matter to Twitter and granted interviews. I'm just trying to understand what she needed to do according to the administration to be in compliance with this policy. If she had followed the chain of command instead of posting, or before she posted on Twitter, would she have been in compliance?
Same objection. Calls for a hypothetical.
I'm going to allow her to answer the question.
So can you repeat the question?
Sure. If Ms. Temple had gone to Principal Siebert and discussed her post prior to posting it, would she have been in compliance with page 7 of the handbook?
She would have been in compliance with following the chain of command. Is that what you're asking?
Correct.
If she followed the chain of command, then yes, she would be in compliance with following the chain of command.
Right. All right.
And for the record, that was Principal Schneider, not
I'm sorry.
Dr. Siebert, so,
Did I say Dr. Siebert?
yes.
I meant Principal Schneider. I'm assuming your answer is the same.
Correct.
All right. Is it the administration's position that Ms. Temple would have needed to go through all the steps outlined in Board Policy 3179 before she was permitted to post about Rainbow Land?
Objection, foundation, to the extent she doesn't need to interpret board policies.
Well, I think we're gonna allow her to answer the question, although I do think we kind of asked and answered the same question, but.
It's a separate policy, and she's testifying about why Ms. Temple violated the policy, so I think it's appropriate to ask her.
Okay, you can rephrase the question, go ahead.
Okay, there's a list of steps that need to be taken pursuant to Board Policy 3179, is that right?
Correct.
Okay, and your report concludes that she did not follow those steps, but instead posted about Rainbow Land on Twitter first, right?
That's correct.
Okay, and my question is it the administration's position that she needed to go through all the steps on 3179 before she was allowed to make a social media post?
So a general social media post, I'm saying that she did not go through the chain of command about being upset about a song decision
Right, and if she had, then she would have been in compliance with these policies.
with this specific policy.
Okay. And I just want to clarify, it's the administration's position that Ms. Temple violated 3214, not because she spoke out about a specific student, but because she spoke out about her students as a group generally. Is that right?
3213 I have, is that correct?
3213, yep.
And then what was your question?
Yeah, so the district is not alleging that she disclosed or shared any personally identifiable information about any of her particular students, but rather spoke about them as a group. Is that right?
That's correct.
I don't have anything else for this witness.
Any redirect?
Yes, thank you. Ms. Sadie, you would agree that in this entire controversy, Ms. Temple is speaking on issues related to her employment with the district, right?
Correct.
And in fact, this entire issue arose out of events that occurred in the course and scope of her employment, right?
Correct.
And all of the tweets you tied are related to her identifying herself as a teacher, right?
Correct.
And there's a lot of posts to review on this issue, correct?
Correct.
And you didn't testify to all the times that she identified herself as a teacher and connected herself to the district in the written news articles, right?
Correct.
There's other times in those articles, correct?
Yes.
And you also did not testify to all the times she identified herself as a teacher in the media live interviews, correct?
Correct.
Are there other times in those interviews, the live interviews?
Yes.
Okay. You didn't specifically look into the time that Ms. Temple posted the tweets, is that right?
The first one, but after that, correct.
In terms of whether she was using district technology, or whether she was on site, or whether she was on her own time on off-duty conduct, you didn't specifically look into that or ask her about that, did you?
No, I didn't ask her about that.
Okay. In the course of your investigation interviews, some of the witnesses told you that they received emails of concern, even if you didn't specifically review them, correct?
Correct.
And you relied on their testimony about those concerning emails in forming your report, correct?
Correct.
Okay. You also understand that from your investigation interviews that others received concerning voicemails, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And you relied upon their testimony about those concerning voicemails in forming the basis of your report, right?
Right.
So even if you didn't personally listen to the voicemails, you were relying on their testimony, correct?
Correct.
Okay. If the district is not pressing charges related to the voicemails, are they still of concern to the district?
Yes.
In drafting your report, you were relying on Principal Schneider's testimony about the disruption caused on the building level to higher elementary, is that right?
Correct.
Okay. That's all I have, thank you.
Sorry, just a couple more. You just testified that you were relying on people telling you about the voicemails and emails they received.
Yes.
Who were those people?
Mr. Schneider was one, and he told me who he would get them from. Sue Ettinger sent, we had everyone forward them to Sue, so then she was the keeper.
Okay, anyone else whose testimony you relied on?
Not that I can think of, no.
I don't have anything else.
Nothing further.
Okay, Ms. Dee, you are excused. Thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, I'm noting the time, that's approximately 2 p.m., and I'm just wondering if any of the parties would like to take a brief recess. I will tell you, I would like to get a copy of the exhibits to the board. I don't believe we have that, so I'd like to take a couple minutes to make sure that we can produce those.
Great.
If we were to recess for till 2:10, is that acceptable?
Yes.
Okay, and then while we do that, I would just ask that at all times we refrain from any discussion of the